Today on Free Field Training, we're looking at the Powertac Warrior G4FL. It is a police duty light. We're going to talk a little bit today about whether this would work for you as a police or security duty light, looking specifically at that application and some of the positives and negatives with this light, and there are some negatives to it. And I'm going to give you some things that I think this would be good at and not so good at, and some stuff that you're going to want to know before you clunk your hard-earned money down on something like this. There are, of course, links and coupon codes in the effort for full disclosure down in the description down below. If you use those to buy one of these lights, I make a little money, and they want to send me more of these lights, and that helps me out. It also helps you out because you save a little bit of money on buying the light. But if you do end up not liking this light and you want some other lights and you still want to help the channel out, there are links and coupon codes for a few other competing lights that I think will also work very well for you as police duty lights. Check those out if you don't like this one, and I still make a little money and you help me out. So what type of person shouldn't buy this light? Well, simply someone who doesn't want a whole metric crap load of light output. I expected when I got this light and they told me it was 4,200 lumens and it was going to be the wide angle light, that what I was going to get was a floodlight that didn't throw very far at all. And what I ended up with is this thing. Here's the beam shots once again for you. Those first three trees are at about 15, 20, and maybe 27, 28 yards away on here. Normally when I shoot a police duty light at these trees, what we get is really good output on the first one and the second one and the third one. You either get pretty good output or not really great output at all, and that's kind of how I judge whether something's going to be a good police duty light. I told Powertac I am going to evaluate their light like I would evaluate a chainsaw. How well does it work for the task at hand? And this is a great showing for this application, a lot better than I thought it would be for a wide angle or floodlight marketed flashlight. Now we pointed a little further over at the house across the street. You're looking at 80 to 90 yards here, and it's lighting up the trees above the house in the backyard. I haven't found another light that does that without having a light head that's about yay big around. That's a really impressive showing for something that's this size. Now the size of this, as you can see it in my hand, is very similar to the sizes of other 18650 battery lights. This is an 18650, it's also dual fuel. 2 Cr123s will fit inside. You can use those as fuel for the light. That's the size that you're looking at. The light head isn't anything astoundingly large to write home about, but it does put out really great output and fairly good throw. I mean, really good throw if you figure in the size that this light is. I've also found it works really well for lighting rooms. If you point them at the ceiling or splash them off of the floor, it lights the whole room up almost like daylight. If you point it down an alley, let's say you get a shooting in an alley, not that any of us would end up on the scene of a shooting in an alley on a regular basis, but if you have to light up a scene of a shooting in an alley and be able to see where shell casings are at, or evidence or bloodstains or anything like that, this works really well for that. You get into an alley and it's like daylight in that alley even at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now that I sing its praises about that, let's talk about some downsides to it. This light has, it's not sharp edges, but rough edges all over it. I actually had the ring and clip that it comes with attached to it, and I was having trouble getting it out of the taco pouch that I use on my vest at work so that I can kind of switch between lights easily. It's rough, and in their pouch that they include with the light, which is designed to hold it bezel down, it's not a really big issue that the finish is rough, and you could use this. It actually fits onto a 2 1/4 inch Sam Brown type leather duty belt, one of the hardest ones to get a pouch to fit onto. This clips right over the top and the hook holds it on there so it doesn't come out or off of the belt when you pull the light out. But if you're going to use anything else, if you need, let's say, a Clarion high gloss finish or basket weave like I have to use at work, and you can't use that, that's something to know about this. The finish is pretty rough, and if you're going to put it into a pouch and you're going to put a bezel up on your belt, it might rub against your uniform shirt and end up ripping holes or tears in it. So that's something to know. You're not going to want to take an emery board to this because in the areas that I have had a little bit of wear, it's shiny underneath. So I imagine if you went to smooth these out, it's just going to show, you know, shiny, bright light, and it doesn't look good on something that's brand new to have to do that. So if you're going to use it in that application, if you're wearing a Class A uniform, I would really think twice about putting this right up against your uniform shirt, because I'm assuming it's going to wear holes in it. On the flip side of that, being dual fuel, you can keep this running for hours and hours and hours. And when I was using this for a couple of weeks at work to get talking points about it, I could run it on full turbo mode, which is what you were seeing in those initial beam shot videos. I ran that for 8 to 10 minutes, and although it's pretty cold out here, it didn't heat up to the point where you couldn't use it, and it didn't step down, which is a big thing with really high lumen, like 4,000 lumen lights, that they tend to step down. So you might get 4,000 lumens to start, but then it's going to step down to 600 within a couple of minutes of having the right light operating, especially in something that's this small. The heat sinks in it must be pretty efficient. It was running 8 to 10 minutes at full output with no noticeable step down in it, so that's pretty good. The UI in this is not what I would prefer, only because this side button goes straight to strobe, and the strobe isn't even full output strobe, it's 860 some odd lumens strobe. As far as switching between outputs though, I like the UI system because it doesn't tend to cause problems with it switching itself between different light outputs. So if we turn it on, cycle it all the way up to, or down to Firefly mode. So Firefly mode is, let's say, so Firefly mode is less than 1 lumen. It's maybe what you would use if you were going to look for something in a bag while camping. It'll run it 60 days at Firefly mode. Then you push this side little button again. You don't get strobe when you push it while the light's on. You get a mode switch. So this is low, and low is 95 lumens. It'll run at 15 hours on low. Medium is 333 lumens. That's oddly specific. It'll run for a little over 5 hours, and high is 1430 lumens. It'll run an hour and 1.23 hours at 1430 lumens, and then turbo mode is 4200 lumens, and it says it will also, and it's blowing the camera out, I'm sorry, it'll also run 1.23 hours on turbo mode. How that's accomplished, I don't know, because I'm not an electrical engineer. Strobe, again, is accessed from off by this side button, and it's 830 lumens. It is distracting, but realistically, I think if you have a light that's putting out 4,200 lumens and will also throw like that at that wide of an angle, I think strobe's a little redundant as far as distracting people is concerned for a police or security application. I would really prefer it not be there, or the switch just switch between modes. One important thing to note is it will go straight back to whatever mode you left it on. So here I put it on medium, and it goes straight back to medium. So if you want to run this on medium mode most of the time in order to conserve output, you could plug this in, charge it once, and use it all month on medium mode. You could easily do that and then hold high and turbo in reserve for situations when you're doing field searches. As a patrolman for most applications, I think that's probably what I would do given the output of this. Speaking of charging, they have their little proprietary magnetic charger that you can pop on the back. And this magnetic charger works through a little dongle that you plug into a waterproof USB on the side of the light. So you have this proprietary charging cable. You can plug this into any normal USB port, including the terminal on your computer in the car. Plug it in, pop this onto the flashlight, and it charges it up. It gives you a little indicator, red when it's charging. I think it's blue when it's fully charged. But if you should lose this proprietary little very convenient thing that you should be keeping in your bag so you don't lose it, you can also take a ballpoint pen, pop this little dongle out. It's fairly hard actually, but you can pop this little dongle out and plug it into a micro USB. I would leave the little magnetic dongle in there and just charge it that way whenever I could, and keep the micro USB thing in reserve, because micro USBs tend to collect junk in them, which might end up ruining your ability to charge the light. I would use this most of the time, but in an emergency, if you needed to charge it and you couldn't get Cr123s to switch them out, or you didn't want to have to buy or find another one of these proprietary cables, you could pop it out and the light still works just fine. You can still charge it. Which brings me to replaceable Cr123s. If you are buying this because you want that high output turbo mode, let's say you're security at a large commercial facility or an arena, or you're a police officer who's working canine, is doing a lot of large field searches, or you're an evidence tech, where you need to be able to light up an area, get a good lay of the land of what's going on before you go through and start setting up all your stuff, this would be a great application if for no other reason that you can switch it out with Cr123s and it has that type of light output. Most of the lights I've seen with this type of output, you can't just switch out two Cr123s by popping a battery out, popping Cr123s in, and go right back to work. This one allows you to do it even at that super high light output, which is a really cool application, really cool feature of this light that I don't see a lot of other places. If you know of other lights that do that, please put them down in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear about them. So who do I think this would work well for? I think for patrolmen who want to minimize the amount of time that they have to charge lights and are going to put this in either a universal mount on their vest or are going to put it in a fully flapped flashlight holder if they're wearing Class A uniform, this could work really well. The price point is pretty comparable with lots of other actually lower performing lights on the market. If you're working in a very harsh environment, this is IPX8 waterproof. It's 2-meter drop resistant. It's probably going to take most of what you could throw at it out in the real world. If you are working a plain clothes assignment where you're wearing nice clothes all day and you want to clip this to your pocket, I'm going to warn you about the sharp edges, about the rough edges on this that might wear their way through, let's say, a suit coat. Video up there, armed and suited. If you're doing that type of thing every day, this probably isn't the light for you. But if you're doing uniform patrol and you're going to use their proprietary holder, or you're going to use a holder on your vest cover and you need a whole lot of light in order to light up a big field, I think this could be a really great police duty light for that application. If you have comments, questions, or concerns, put them down in the comments section down below. I know I don't always get to all of the little minutiae that people want in these light reviews, but I'm trying to give you the best advice I can for it from a duty light perspective. Hopefully that helps you guys out. Again, the links down in the description. There's also going to be links for, I think, the Streamlight Stryon and the Surefire G2X. Also, great police duty lights in this same form factor, but they don't have the same output that this one does. Hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. Until next week, you guys be safe and take care of each other. Hey, thanks for watching Free Field Training on YouTube. And while you're here, why don't you check out some of these other goofy videos that I've made? Or you could subscribe or maybe go over to Patreon and see how you get your name put on the videos like these fine folks over here. All the links are, of course, down in the description. We'll see you guys next time.